Today we have an important decision to make, and that is whether to use TypeScript or JavaScript. And TypeScript and JavaScript both have their pros and cons. So I have gotten in a meeting with Ezra and John also, who is going to help, consult with this. And we'll come to a decision so that we can hopefully start coding. All right, so how do we want to decide this? There's a number of reasons to use TypeScript. There's also a number of reasons to use JavaScript. The main takeaways that I have are that TypeScript is a much more formatted language. It's a lot like Java, where you're much less likely to run into bugs because you screwed your code up somehow because you forgot what a function call was supposed to take. On the other hand, it's slightly more complex to handle internally because we have to run through a compilation process and we're not just directly writing the code that will be run.
I mean, in the end, it's whether we want to be lazy or actually learn something. Because I feel like we have a basic understanding of JavaScript. But do we want to learn TypeScript?
Well, TypeScript is actually really similar to JavaScript because for the most part, you can actually copy-paste JavaScript code into TypeScript. It's a superset of JavaScript.
But then there's the compilation process, which
I've spent the past couple days researching. I think I know how we need to do it.
I mean, it's in the end either option's going to work. But do we want that consistency with some form of awareness of what types what type of data we're using, or so how large is that? How large do we expect this to be?
It's not about it being large, it's about it being scalable, right? The backend system itself will likely not be very big, but what we want is to be able to one day say, oh, here's a new idea for a task, let's put that in, and we don't have to do much extra work.
Okay, so maybe TypeScript is the best option?
All right, Ezra, you have any thoughts?
I mean, I'm not very knowledgeable in object-oriented. I've only programmed in C, which is functional. Yeah.
You poor soul.
I know.
Well, TypeScript it is.
Yeah.
All right, I'll get to work on getting the repo set up.
Sounds good.
All right, I'd say that meeting went pretty well. Now that we know what programming language we're using, we can get started on the code base. I started by creating a simple server-client project setup using React in my front end and Express in my back end, although I later came to learn that I wouldn't need it. After a bit of research, I figured out what the best project structure is. I have the game server files running in one node project and all the client files running in a sub-project, connected by a script in the package file. It works really well, and I have to thank Traversy Media for this idea. Alright, so I have created a Express backend, a simple Express backend. I don't know if I'm going to end up using Express or not, because now that I think about it, I'm going to be using socket connections. So we've got our simple app.ts, and if I use npm start, I should get a little hello world, so great. Now I just have to set up the template front end for Ezra to work on, and then I can branch off and start working on the back end stuff. Over the next few hours, I slowly began to implement the basics of the server logic. I began by implementing basic socket connectivity. One of the major features of this project is different devices being able to connect for different reasons. For instance, a player's phone can connect and expect to be treated as a player, while a computer that's part of the game field can connect and expect to be served data, allowing it to function as, for instance, an animated task. These dogs are making it impossible for me to code. Got one of them with a bone, and the other just sitting there barking at the one with the bone because she's jealous. Seriously, guys? Alright, come on. You guys cannot be in here right now because you are not... Hey, no! You can't take her bone. Why did you just... No, okay, none of you get the bone now, okay? I am confiscating the bone because you two seem to not be able to handle it. This presented a tricky situation, as connecting clients had to declare their role upon connection. I ended up implementing this using additional query tags in the connection handshake. I also started work on the main game server module, where all the code regarding the flow of the game resides. But there's only so much you can do in one night, and soon I hit a wall. Alright. So I just spent a good 2 hours working on this code, and now I have a big headache. So... yeah, I can't, you know what, I'm gonna be done for the night. Alright, so it's the next day, well, really the next night, but I spent the whole day preparing for finals. And I think I'm ready to give my code a little test run. Alright, so after a few more hours of work I decided to do today, I managed to get a little bit of a test client. I don't think I did this right, I just shoved everything into the render function. I don't think that's how you're supposed to do it, but at the very beginning, it ran client connecting, and then the server told me I got a player connected, Igrium. So yay. That means it worked. As the past couple days have shown us, sometimes programming can be all fun and games, and sometimes it's not. But we program anyway. As for this project, although it may seem like not a lot got done, I just got basic player connectivity to the server, we actually finished a very important step, which is just getting started on the project. Writing that first line of code. Now it's just add more features until the game works. So on that note, I'm going to make an announcement. If you are someone who is into coding and you want to participate in this project, I have left the Git repo that we are actively working on in the video description, licensed under the GNU GPL. I have also left a link to that planning document from the previous episode. And I implore you, write a feature, create a pull request. I really want this to be a community thing. So, that's all I have to say for today. Tune in next time when we're going to start actually trying to implement some more of these features, like choosing who the imposter is and running games.